November 26th. That was the day I went into the hospital in Honduras. I was having some terrible abdomen pain and back pain, and I just got to the point where I couldn't stand it anymore. I was admitted, and the next day, the doctors let me go. They didn't think that it was anything that they could do. It was just normal pain. Maybe constipation pain. However, that same day I got out on November 27th, I went back to the hospital because my pain had increased. The next day, I was still in the hospital with even more pain, and by November 29th, they sent me to San Pedro Sula, which is 2.5 hours away, to have some more tests done. By this time, I was in so much pain, I couldn't stand it. I thought I was going to die by this time already. That was November 29th. When I got back from San Pedro Sula, they decided that I needed to have surgery. They were going to cut my stomach and see what was wrong because they couldn't figure it out. So that night, they removed my gallbladder, and they said it was greasy. The next morning, very early, I woke, and I was in the same amount of pain as before the surgery. It was excruciating. I was bleeding still. They hadn't sewn up my wounds very well, and I was still in the same amount of pain. On December 1st, they decided to add a couple stitches to where they had opened me up. On December 2nd, they were giving me more and more morphine to try to calm the pain that I was having. And they even were considering opening me back up to see where the bleeding was coming from. On December 3rd, my mom called the U.S. Embassy. It was a really hard time because no one could give us answers. But the Lord intervenes, and on December 24th, I was picked up and taken to Tegucigalpa, the capital city, with a military escort. I arrived at which is considered one of the best hospitals in Honduras. They ran a lot of tests again and realized that my colon was about to explode. It had swelled up to enormous size, and I had to have emergency surgery again. The day after that surgery, I woke up and I was in a lot less pain. I was comforted by the fact that finally I had had some progression, and that day my parents arrived from the States as well. That was very, very relieving. The next day, my pain had decreased even more, and I was moving around and feeling much better. I felt like I was healing. On December 7th, however, I woke up and I was really tired. I just remember waking up, eating my Jell-O, and then wanting to go back to sleep. And after afternoon that day, I started seeing things, and soon after I had a seizure. Of course, the doctors weren't expecting me to have a seizure, and neither was my family, so that scared us even more. So after doing tests, we decided that the best course of action for me was to be brought back to the States. Part of the reason was due to the cost of being in Honduras. You pay as you go. It's not one of those things where you can have insurance. by this time we had paid a lot of money and the funds were running out. On December 9th, I flew from Tegucigalpa to Atlanta, and I was taken to Piedmont Hospital. And I was admitted there December 9th. December 10th, they were just running tests. I was feeling a lot better. I really did. On December 11th, I felt great. And on December 12th, I was allowed to leave. It was December 13th when my wife arrived with my dad from Honduras. And we felt like it was all downhill from there. But it wasn't like that. You see, part of the testing that they ran was for a disease called porphyria. It's very scary, because something like this can happen at any time. I recently found out I have porphyria, and that will affect how we live the rest of our life, my wife and I. But what I'm coming to you today, and I'm sharing this video with you, is about the money. Over that month that I was sick, we spent a lot of money. And my parents dove into their savings to save my life as well. And if they hadn't, I wouldn't be here. The first hospital I was at cost $7,868. The second hospital in Honduras was $11,214. Piedmont allowed me to be on their financial assistance program, and I have no cost for the third hospital. The transportation from Tegucigalpa to Atlanta cost $7,492. And we've spent $434 since I've gotten out of the hospital. And we're looking at $1,870 for a reversal surgery for my colostomy if Piedmont approves the financial assistance again, which I'm trusting in God that it will. But the total amount of money that we've spent is $28,878. And a lot of you have already helped. A lot of people, my church here in the States, and many individuals have come to me and helped me raise already $10,104. But there's still $18,774 that I need to pay. And I'm coming to you because I need help. If you feel in your heart that you can help me, I thank you. And I hope that it isn't a burden on your family for you to help me. But I don't know where to go. I don't have the amount of income that most people have. Having lived in Honduras for many years, I'm just reliant on the work I do. You know, we don't know what the future entails for us, for Melissa and I, but what we do know is that we belong to a community of believers, a community of loving people that are willing to help but might not know that we need help. And that's why I come to you today. And if you feel in your heart that you can give, reach out to me. Go to the GoFundMe page that's still active. In any way you can, please do. I thank you.